Hello, hello. So we're going to get right started. There may be more people coming in, but I'm going to start. I'm going to introduce myself. So my name is Kat Williams. I'm so excited to be here with you all and with an amazing author that we have today called Anne Alcott. There she is.
Hi.
So just to let you know why we're doing this together, just for a few minutes. So it's called Reading for Life. This is, and if you've joined us before, you'll know that one of the main reasons is because there's not many books for children that feature either disabled characters or neurodiverse characters or characters that experience something quite different. So often only about, well, less than 4 in 100 children's books would have somebody with a disability or a difference. So that's why it's called Reading for Life, is to help to bring out lots of kind of different stories. And we've got an amazing author, as we said, today. Now, the reason I'm involved, I love stories, and I'm a counsellor. I help people with their confidence. I help people really with, or children, with how the story they tell themselves in their own heads often. That's a very important story, is what we tell ourselves. And then a little bit about this charity that set all of this up, that's invited Anne today and myself. They're called Children Today. And the story of them, it was started by a man called Hugh. And Hugh, as a dad, several years ago, his children were little, and he noticed that his children could ride bikes and trikes and everything, but he thought, gosh, other children may not be able to do that. So he wanted to help other children, and it's a charity that provides adapted trikes and things so that everybody can join in and have fun together. And that's all about Children Today. So that's why we're here, and I am going to go straight over to introduce our amazing author who has an amazing story for you and pictures to share. So welcome, Anne, and just off you go and introduce yourself to everyone.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Anne Alcott. I'm an author and illustrator of children's books, especially for books for children who sometimes feel a little bit different and need a little bit of help and see the world from a different perspective. And I am going to read for you today my book called When Things Get So Loud. I've prepared a little bit of a slideshow, so I'm going to show you some pictures before I'm going to start dive into the book as well. I'm a mom of 2 little boys, and I live in the Netherlands. And so I welcome all of you from wherever you're joining. And maybe you guys have a phyllometer by hand. We are reading with a phyllometer in this book, but if you don't, that is not a problem at all. You can make your own. You can do it tomorrow, color them in, or just shout out the numbers really loud while you're watching. I'm gonna share, if I'm ready to go, I'm gonna share my screen with you. Is that all right?
That's great. And what I forgot to say is you can
Yes.
straight away start putting questions if you wish in the chat. And that's why we've kept cameras and audio off, because we're just going to use the chat. So I did forget to say that. So everyone can fire away straight away. And yeah, off you go, sharing your screen. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm doing a little bit of a talk, and then the end of the talk, you guys can leave, or you leave questions throughout. At the end of the talk, I'll be answering whatever you want to know. So, yes, this is my own company called Tiny Horse Books, like this little guy, and I am a mom of these 2 wonderful boys, Alfie and Jamie. And I started writing these books because I've noticed that my children sometimes struggle in ways that maybe the average child doesn't. So to say, sometimes we feel overwhelmed and we don't know why, and then we'll behave in a different way. And I wanted to show people that it's completely normal to feel that way. And I also wanted to explain to people around that what my child feels, and I want them to be seen. So these are Alfie and Jamie. And yes, what is sensory overload? It's a big, big word. Most of us know this feeling. So not just neurodiverse people have this feeling. I feel like this myself a lot of the times. We can feel overloaded when we're excited. It gets to overexcitement. It's hard to pay attention. Sometimes our tummies hurt. We can feel a little bit annoyed. Everything feels too much, too bright, too loud. That's why when things get too loud. I named the book after this. So yes, who experiences this? Almost everybody at some point in their lives know how this feels. And especially neurodiverse children have experienced it much more than others. This is a lot of text. Don't you worry. I will not be reading this all for you. I am just introducing you here to the Philometer. Basically, it's this very simple tool to show you a scale. Green are the happy feelings when we feel fantastic, everything is great. Then, orange around number 5, things were starting to get busy. We're starting to get a little bit, things feel too much. And at 9 or 10, we don't feel good. We need to change the situation. So I made this so that even if you can't have the words, if you don't know why you feel a certain way, you can show your parent or your caregiver, look, I'm feeling around this number right now. I don't know why, but maybe we can do something to change that. And I will introduce ways to help when you feel that way throughout the book. So if you have one, you can hold your Philometer now. Otherwise, yes, you can make one at home, or just shout out the numbers as we go. I'm going to start reading the book now, and I have help with my little snail friend right here. Okay, I'm going to start. Commander Bow is ready for flight, rising up to the stars and into the night. What an adventure! Space is going to be fun. I'm feeling like a number 1. Crash, bang, klirr. The vase that was my rocket ship lies broken on the floor. I give a quick apology, but Mum points at the door. Go on, she says, to the garden with you. I grab my favorite coat. I'm feeling like a 2. I rush outside. The grass tickles my toes. I follow the trail of the garden hose. The yellow sun shines down too bright. I need to shade my eyes from light. A bird chirps high up in the tree. I'm feeling like a number 3. I smell Mum's flowers blooming ahead. The smell is too strong. It's stuck in my head. I hear in the distance the slam of a door. I'm feeling like a number 4. Behind the house, a train runs past, its windows rushing by so fast. I feel its movement in the ground. The whistle blows. I turn around. Bees are buzzing around their hive. I'm feeling like a number 5. A moving truck crosses the road. A man steps out to clear its load. A boy appears, a boy like me. He waves his hand. I turn to flee. I only want one thing, escape. I'm feeling like a 6, a 7, an 8. There, that's shed. My heart thumps as I race. I close the wooden door and welcome the dark space. I crouch between the boxes and inhale. My eyes find something shiny, small. A snail. Its house is made of silver. Its eyes are not afraid. While I watch my tiny friend, the noise, the smell, the colors fade. The curious creature looks back up at me as it sits on the wall, as calm as can be, and I let out a deep breath. And my heart races no more. I'm feeling like a 6, a 5, 4. On the snail's back stands a spiraling shell. Oh, how I wish I would have one as well. When the world gets too much and I could curl up inside, I would have on my back my own place to hide. Mum calls. I look up. She made me a treat. I take my new friend as I jump to my feet. I open the door, the snail on my palm. The new boy stands there. I try to stay calm. He smiles and says his name is Joe, and I feel the numbers want to grow. At first, a 4, a 5, a 6, but the little snail is playing tricks. My finger traces along its lines, and I watch how the trail sparkles and shines. Everything eases when I watch my friend, and for once, I don't have to pretend. I am actually okay. I raise my hand and then say, hey. Joe nods. Sometimes I feel the same as you, but slow breaths in my music, and I'm from 10 to a 2. Joe, have you ever flown to the moon? The snail and I are heading there soon. We find a new spaceships, the engines are on, ready for takeoff. 3, 2, 1. If you feel like Bo or Joe, remember, it's okay. Everyone finds their own way. So that was the book. And in the
Oh,
back, thank you. In the back of the book, you find a few tools. Second, I'm going to find a page in my book as well about things that could help. So, for example, if things feel too loud, too noisy, too bright, you could help by turning off the light, going to a room which feels quiet and dark. I spend my whole day wearing these guys, which are noise cancelling headphones. I love them so much. They keep me calm. I can listen to my favorite music. Then we have these. I don't know if some of you know what this is. This is a little sensory chew toy. It's nice to have it around your neck. And if you feel a little fidgety and a little agitated, you can play with it, chew on it. It can calm you down as well. Other things that we love are weighted blankets. And my children love to clap or snap a lot. Yeah. Oh, and these, I don't know if you guys know these. You probably do. These are poppets. Very popular in my house. We have a lot of poppets. They feel so nice. And I carry them around with me because I find them super relaxing. Um, I had the question last time, or the last time I read this book, of why the snail? Why is the snail featured in this book? And there is a story to this. When my eldest, Jamie, was little, he didn't see the world like other people did. He was very focused on small things, got distracted very easy. Um, and he found snails very fascinating. He kept collecting them around our garden and put them in a little bucket and even put them in the front of his bike. And I love this picture where the snail sits on his bike and he drove it to daycare and it was just looking up at him. And they not only calmed him down by watching how slow and relaxed they are, but they were also an icebreaker to connect with other children. They were very interested about his snail collection. So I just think that it's such a really wonderful little creature to watch. So I made him a feature in my first book. Um, these are my other books. If you're interested in knowing more about me, Bo versus the Party Monsters is about our hero Bo and how he feels at birthday parties because they can be very scary. Then we have Trouble in a Pickle Jar and my new book, This Book is Overwhelmed. And you can find me here. Yes, so back to you, I guess. I can stop sharing my screen. There you go.
that's amazing. So
Yeah.
many amazing messages and ideas in there. So the questions I'm sure will start coming in now, and I have some here as well that I want to ask. So
Wonderful.
we'll just see what comes in.
Yes.
Oh, we've got one straight away popping in from Ruby. What is your favorite book that you have written, that you wrote?
That is really hard to say. Usually, people say don't choose favorites. I do think my first book has a special place in my heart because it was the beginning of my illustrator and writing journey. But I'm also particularly fond of my very last book because it makes you, the reader and the child, interact with the book because this guy is alive and you need to help the book to calm down. And so you learn how to calm down yourself. So I love all my babies, but those have a special place in my heart.
And I've noticed in the copy of your book that I have here that
Yeah,
you can interact with when things get too loud. So I love what you've said about the snail friend. What a lovely. I've always been
yeah,
fascinated with snails. I love how you drew out there. They're silvery and they've got their house on their back, and they're so slow but so curious and so interesting. I think
And they're also very
all of us,
sensitive. Yeah, sensitive
yeah.
to sensory input. They like to hide in a little shell, and then I think they're so beautiful as well. So yeah, at the back of the book you can color them in if you like, and there's lots of illustrated little snails throughout the book.
And this page where it says draw what helps you, do you know some of the things that children have drawn in there? I'm just curious. I wonder what the children that are listening would draw in there, and whether you know some of the things that other children. I know what I might draw. I can tell you that in a minute.
Yeah, so if you guys that are listening want to tell me what you would draw on our page, it would be fantastic if you know how it feels and have things in mind that help you go down to a number one. I know for myself, what helps me is to illustrate. I love to listen to my favorite books. I'm a big audiobook lover. And then I draw. That is my favorite thing to do. And other children like the weighted blankets, rocking chairs come up quite often. Putting on a favorite movie, a comfort movie that you know what happens. Certain foods as well. My eldest used to go to daycare when he was, I think, 3, and was always holding an apple in his hand, which is so funny. He never ate it, but he always held it because it gave him some sort of comfort. So whatever works is fantastic.
I love that. We've got some answers coming in that someone's written a snake. They would draw there. A philometer. So obviously someone
Yes,
has a philometer, which is lovely.
lovely.
And a snail as well. Some
Mhm.
music. Oh, there's mine. I was going to say cat. I have 2 cats, and I find the purring of cats just completely puts
I
me back
have,
to
yes.
one.
I
Like,
also own 2
more
cats, and
relaxing.
yes, absolutely. I understand, yeah.
Yeah, the way they purr, I'm thinking, gosh, that's just so relaxing.
I would love to carry a cat around with me all day if I could. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, exactly. And someone says an iPad, a lightsaber, a
A
bunny.
lightsaber,
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, amazing. You could.
Absolutely, that's great.
We actually have a lightsaber here, so I'm with that person. It's a long story about why we do, but we have a lightsaber in this
That's
house.
wonderful.
We have another question come in. Which book took you the longest to write? That's an interesting question.
The first one, because it's a lot of trial and error. Anyone knows if you first start something new, there's a lot of things you have to learn on the way, and there's a lot of trial and error, and it's good to let yourself fail and to learn along the way. I have not illustrated before I started this book, so that took me a while to figure out how to do. And to get it all together, get the text right and make it the right length for children to want to listen to, make it easy for parents to want to read the book at bedtime, not too many complicated words, make it in rhyme. So that I think that book took me a year to complete in overall. Yes.
Wow, and it's beautiful.
Thank
And did
you.
you always want to be a writer and an illustrator? Has it felt like that's always been there?
I don't know that I set out to want to be an illustrator or a writer. I think books just followed me around until I gave up and gave in. Was a little bit of a lonely child, and I found comfort in reading. And my mother is artistic. She liked to draw. My grandmother loved to paint. So we have a lot of artistic people in the family. And my grandmother had this massive collection of books. So for me, I designed children's clothes. I worked in theater in between. I worked in acting. It comes to a full circle to come to this point and be able to put my love for books and illustration together. It just feels correct.
Amazing. And someone had asked, do you do all your own illustrations, and do you illustrate on a computer? So those two
Oh,
can be.
yes, I do all my own illustrations. That is part of the fun for me. I can't envision giving up this big space to someone else. I love to illustrate and to find ways to express certain emotions. What was the second question? I forgot.
Well, how you illustrate, so whether
Oh,
that's
yes.
computer or something of some other way.
I don't know if I have the sketchbook here. 1 second, I can show you.
Oh, wow.
I start my very small sketchbook. Typically on paper, it's just a random page on here. I make doodles, I play around. This is for my second book. This is how a book starts out at the very first, my pickle jar. So they start out as little sketches. I find little pickles I like until I find the guy, the main character. And then what I do, I transfer those onto my iPad. And from there on, I give the things more life. But yeah, the little snail, I think this was the first illustration.
Oh,
The
wow.
very first concept of our snail friend. Yes, here we go. And from 10 to a 2. That is
Perfect.
Jill. So first on paper, and then I illustrate, take it onto my iPad.
Amazing. And well, I've got a question, but there's another one just popped in. Does someone help you?
No. Okay, so the only people who are helping me, and I think one of them is watching, are my children. They give me fantastic feedback. I give them my first ideas. They go through the books before they're finished. They give me, as I said, great feedback, says this is a bit boring, this works really well. So my kids help me finalize the books. And then before I officially publish them, I will send them out to a small group of children and their parents to read them through in case there's anything they would change. So my children and my readers help me. Other than that, I do the whole thing myself.
Wow, that's amazing. And have you been asked to illustrate anyone else's books? I was wondering.
I have not yet found the time to put that into my schedule. My children's books are my part-time job, and my other part-time job are my kids. But I'm very open to the ideas. If anyone has any questions, any projects in mind, then they're welcome to contact me. And I thought about actually putting my services out as an illustrator this year.
Yeah. Oh, well, keep us posted on that.
Yes, they will.
Well, when you've got the time, yeah. It sounds
Yeah.
like you're busy enough with your own inspiring ideas, so that's fair enough. So another just question about how long does it take you to write a book? So I think you've shared part of that, but what's your answer to that? About how long would be average, maybe?
The writing, I would say, is the faster part. I write a concept of a story, I bounce it back for feedback to some other people, I come back and then I edit. So I think the writing for a book, for the first book was maybe 6 months. For the last book, it was more like 1 month. And then the illustrations are the thing that take the longest time. Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. And I think you've told us this, but how many books have you written? Was it 4? Was it 5?
Four. Yes, my fourth book just came out, and this book is overwhelmed. Will be a series, so we'll be seeing more of this little guy very soon.
Can you tell us a little bit about that one? Why it's called This Book
Sure.
is Overwhelmed, so we can get excited about what's
Yes,
I think
because
you said you might be back next year to do this with that book. So
no, we do actually have a meeting scheduled with this in a few
oh,
weeks.
this one. Oh, fantastic.
Yes, it is this one.
We
So
don't have to wait.
yes, I will be reading from this book. I really loved making this book because this guy is mixed media. I actually crafted him, photographed him, and drew around him, so he actually exists in real life. And this little book is overwhelmed, and he needs the readers and the children's help to feel better. And by doing so, we learn a little bit in a sneaky way how to calm down as well. Sometimes we're asked to give the book a hug. We're gonna ask to he starts getting on fire. We have to do breathing exercises to help him blow out the fire of the book. And yeah, all sorts of things was also really fun. So there are lots of exercises in here that I'm looking forward. We might have to turn a book and do stretching, and yes, so I'm
so excited for that. And I know that Lexi's put in the link so everyone can join us on
great,
8th
yes.
May. So not too long to wait. That sounds so fun. We've got a question in from Dale. What is your favourite character that you've illustrated? Another probably tricky question. So I'm sure you don't want to choose your favourite, but of course, yes.
This is my favorite little guy. I think maybe it's because first thing I know, but this little guy has such a special place in my heart. Yes, I have him on the back of my phone. I've got stickers. I think the snail is my favorite. I just love snails. They are so fun. And as I said, if you get the book, there are lots of little fun snails. They're just so nice to draw.
And I'm just curious about the feedback you've had, or any kind of reviews. Have you had people saying things that you maybe hadn't expected, like how much they've resonated with some of the things you've mentioned, the philometer or the snail, or
I mean,
some of the things that you're talking about that maybe they'd never read, it like that in a book before?
I started this book 5 years ago, and it's still my bestseller, which is really, really blowing my mind. And I started it mainly for my own children, so they see themselves in the main character, because there are lots of books written about children with disabilities, but very seldomly from the perspective of a child with certain needs. And I wanted I wanted to write it for my children mainly. And then I think I posted it in an autism parenting support group, and it just took off. And now I find myself tagged in therapists' accounts and in libraries in the US. And it's just so fascinating to see the journey of that little project, which is so, so close to me. Yes, I had adults. Some of my proofreaders came back to me and say, I think I have sensory needs that I haven't addressed. And now I understand why I feel anxious all the time. So even though the book is aimed for children 3 to 8, I think even adults can see themselves in the main character. And yeah, it's fascinating how many people connect with Bo.
Yes, that's amazing. They've kind of seen themselves in the story, even though they're a lot older. That's amazing. A ripple effect. We've got some more questions in from Ruby, which is amazing. How do you actually make the book? What's the whole process, and how do you get it published?
Okay, so there are typically 2 ways of getting a book published. There's the traditional way, and then there is the self-publishing way. And I do both with different accounts. So for my children's books, I self-publish. That means I do everything from writing to illustrating to editing to sending the files to a printer, to getting them printed, to getting them in the bookstore, all by myself. So I use different programs, computer programs for that, but mainly I paint or draw first on paper. I continue the process on my iPad, and then I assemble the whole thing on my computer on an app called Pages, which is specific to Mac, but I'm sure there are other things. Some people use Illustrator or Adobe, but that's getting a bit too complicated. And then I have printers who I really like to work with in the UK and in the US. They will print them and send them out to my customers. And then I sell them over Amazon as well. And there's a great thing over Amazon. If you order my book, they will print it for me and they will ship it to you. I don't have to do any of the work after I upload the files, which is fantastic. So it's probably a lot less complicated than people think.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I wonder if there's any children or adults even listening that might say, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna publish that book.
It's really not that hard. If you ever wanted to write a book, if you have any questions about the process, you can always message me on Instagram on Tiny Horse Books. I love to share the little knowledge that I have.
Oh, that would be amazing. And we have another question here. So when did you write the first book exactly? Sort of when did that first come out into your hands?
You know what? I actually have to look inside the book to see the date. Okay, so the first one was, I think I started it at 2020 in the pandemic when everyone started to figure out what I want to do. I'm a very creative person, and if I feel I get bored, which is not very often, I start planning projects. So this book came out in 2021. Yeah, that was my first children's book, and now we're in 2025, so it's one book a year so far.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And we have a question, where did you write the book? Which you kind of just answered. I guess that's at home, or was it anywhere else?
Oh, that's very different. You know what? A lot of the writing finally happens when I'm on my bike. There is something about biking through the Netherlands and the sun is shining and your mind is drifting. And I like to start my stories. The last one is the first one, not written in rhyme. Everything else has been written in rhyme. I typically like to bounce around words and see what they rhyme with. And just started like a poem, and then it bounces around in my head. And I remember writing when things get too loud in my garden. So, once I came home, I started to get my notebook and I sit in the garden with the coffee and my cat and I take little notes. Yeah.
Did you ever have to pop off your bike and write notes before you forgot and pop back on your bike?
I take, whenever I'm on a red light, don't do that, but I take out my phone and leave quick voice notes on my phone to not forget. But it's typically the ideas that stick with you that are worth pursuing anyway. So
yeah. I love that you've said that, because I've written a book. It was quite a long time ago, and when I was asked that question, I said something surprising as well. I hadn't really realized. I said, well, I wrote it in the shower.
Yes.
What I mean by that is I got into the shower, I'd be relaxed. It was like kind of the thoughts just came, and I thought, oh heck, I've got to get out and write that down. Or
the white noise from the yes, white noise from the water also helps. It's always when you don't expect it. I cannot sit down on my computer and say, okay, now I'm going to write a book. That doesn't work. The story will find you when you least expect it.
Yes, then you have to just grab it before it's floated away.
Yes.
What was that? Get it down.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so the same for me. I love that Group 4 have said they are definitely inspired. So that's fantastic that they're all inspired over in Group 4. So we've got a few more minutes left for questions, if there are any more coming in. If not, we may wrap things up fairly shortly.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to share with us? I suppose that I haven't asked you yet.
I would just absolutely love if you guys enjoyed this book, if you would join my next reading for This Book is Overwhelmed, because I cannot help this little book without your help. I need you guys to support me to calm this little guy down. So I would love to see you at the next reading. And if you want, if you like my stories, feel free to ask your teacher maybe to reach out to Kat, connect me with you guys. I'm super happy to answer any questions the kids may have on a different day. Yes.
Well, we have one more question popping in. Do you know your next book? So maybe even after the one.
Okay. As I said, This Book is Overwhelmed will be a series. I'm currently working with This Book Can't Sleep. When you go to bed and your mind is very full. Coming from theater, I know a lot of fun games we used to play to relax and hone our minds and get the busyness out of our heads. And I'm trying to translate theater games into connecting with the book before bed. Then I have one of these planned, which is called This Book Needs to Get Its Wriggles Out, or This Book Needs to Move. It's when you feel restless and you just can't sit still and your body wants to do something, but you don't know what. So yes, those are the next two that I'm working on with this little character.
And I love that the book has become the character. I've never thought of that before. Like how amazing that it's sort of the book can't sleep and the book wants to move. That just makes so much sense. And I never thought of that before.
I grew up, man, books were my best friends, and I thought like I want to give this feeling to other children and be able to. And you have in the back of this book also a place where you can write the name you're going to give the book.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
yes.
That's just made me think. My favorite book when I was young, just like that, it just brought me comfort to hold it. And it was called The Secret Island by Enid Blyton. And
I've read that one, yes.
Loved the book. Did you have one like that? I mean, more than one by the sound of it, but is there one that stands out?
My very first book where I felt that I can lose myself in was The Never Ending Story by Michael Ende, which is a German author. And I have this very special copy with a unicorn in the book print. And actually, very funny enough, I just got that from this very book. From this very book edition tattooed on me because I have such a special connection to The Never Ending Story, which is a completely different feeling to the movie. So if you've never read it, it draws you in. It's written in green and in red ink, depending on if you're outside of the story or if you're inside of the story. It's really wonderful.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
And we have a question. How much longer do you think you'll keep writing?
I hope until I don't know, until I lose no power in my hands and can't think anymore. I feel there is no end in sight. I fear for you guys there will be no end to Tiny Horse Books. I have ideas for, I don't know, probably 30 books on my notes. So yeah, as long as I can keep going, I will keep going.
That's brilliant. That's so exciting. We'll have so many more to look forward to. And so, well, you kind of answered this next question. Have you written any books that haven't been published yet? So it sounds like they're there in your imagination, and some
I
are...
have written a book where the snail is the main character, which I thought about, and it's in the moment, it's on my shelf. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue working on it, but it's called Sensory You, Sensory Me. It's a little rhyme about sensory needs and how different people can feel differently in situations. Some need a lot of, some love tight hugs and feel comforted by certain things that someone else might feel are uncomfortable. So that is on my shelf. I might at some point continue working on that. Yeah.
Me think of the lovely thing you see sometimes when you go into a classroom. Sometimes it's a high five, sometimes it's a hug, sometimes it's like a fist bump or something like that. I like that when they can choose.
You gotta have to high five this book as well. There you go.
And then depending on the day, you might feel differently on a certain day, whether you feel like a hug kind of day or a high five kind of day or a shake hands or something. Yeah,
and actually there's another book I've written and not yet illustrated, which is called Attack of the Tags. If you're someone like me and you hate clothing tags because they itch and make you uncomfortable and you can't focus on anything and then the itching gets really big in your head, and that is another little fun. Oh, sorry. It is another little fun story that I was working on, where the little tags turn into monsters. And yeah, as I said, there's no end in sight. I'll be continuously making books.
And I will have this conversation again, which will be so brilliant. Yeah. I think we're going to round up there, because what amazing questions, first of all. Like, thank you so much for those brilliant questions. And what brilliant answers have come out. And I was like, gosh, I wasn't expecting the one with the bike and the one with the tail, and the next books that are coming. So it's been such a joy. Thank you for everyone that's joined us. Thank you if you've watched back the recording, because it is available to watch back to anyone that hasn't made it today. We've got you're welcome in the chat. So I think we will end it there with a huge thank you again to Anne and to everyone who's come along and asked a question and hopefully enjoyed the book. And we will see you on the 8th of May, for this book
Yes.
is overwhelmed. So hopefully
Yes,
see
I'm
you
excited. I'm so
then.
excited to see
So
maybe some of you there. And to do this all over again. I had a fantastic time. Thank you so much for having me and for you guys to join. This
you're
was
so
great.
welcome. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much, and we will see you again on the next one. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.